want to preface this video by saying I literally have no idea where I am. I just didn't have class today. I didn't have work today. So I decided to get on the bike with Ben here. And yeah, I'm just literally in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea where I am. It's this little town. I didn't even bother to ask or look. Sometimes you got to do that when you get under the stresses of work and the stresses of your normal life. You just get on your bike, and that's just, you know, you can't replace that feeling with anything else. It is riding a motorcycle, especially here in China. It's dangerous, but it's just fantastic. I mean, there's no substitute really. And one thing I wanted to mention was this article that I read the other day. It was about the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit issue. And the woman was talking about how it was the most racist thing she's ever seen, because these swimsuit models were taking pictures with countryside minority people in China. And she wrote this blasting article about how it was the most racist thing she's ever seen, because that's not the real China. She said, where's all the skyscrapers in China that make New York look poor? That's the development of China. That's what you need to show. You guys are just scared. You want to see China as this poor place where you can control the people. They're so weak and so low. And actually, like, as good-natured as that, wow, that's windy. Whew. As good-natured as that post was, or as that article was, just wanting people to see the good side of China, to me, I think the perspective on what the good side of China is really depends on the person. And what I'm trying to get at is this whole like small town countryside versus city thing, because really there's this like idea amongst foreigners that they've seen the real China or whatever, and this is always contested. It's like, what is the real China? Is it Beijing? Is it the Hutongs in Beijing? Is it Shanghai? Is it Guangzhou? Is it the outskirts? Is it these tier 3, tier 4 cities? I mean, really, if you want to run some statistics, you'll find out something pretty alarming, that, you know, half the population has urbanized. But it's not necessarily in these cities that you know so well, like Beijing and Shanghai. It's in these tier 3 interior cities, tier 4 cities, with some of them have up to 5 million people. If you want to look at the bulk of those people, they're not in Beijing, they're not in Shanghai, and then the rest of them are in small towns and in the countryside, which is something I think is really important to mention, because I have no idea where I'm going. Something that is really important to mention, because the majority of people back home see these articles in The Economist, and, you know, this one that the woman wrote about the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit issue, talking about how the real China is skyscrapers and development, and that, you know, these people in the photo shoot were dragged out of their condos and they put them in farmer's garb. And guess what? Most of China is wearing farmer's garb. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. It's actually kind of racist to say that this is not the real China, because the majority of people live in places like this. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because I want to say something. The small towns and the countryside in China is infinitely better than the cities. I'll tell you why. There's a fat Chinese bike. I'll tell you why. The people in these countryside places, the young people are just as educated as the people in the cities. So they're fairly open-minded, they want to make friends, they want to meet people, they want to get out there, they want to be successful. And the older people have the more simple way of life that some people might criticize you for enjoying because it's Orientalism, or it's, you know, poor people or whatever. But I mean, the majority of people do live in towns like this, and they are typically 100% friendlier than people in the cities. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. They are very friendly. Wherever we go, whenever we go into a town like this, we are welcomed with open arms. Not because people think we're so awesome or we're white and we're so powerful and so rich, just because they've never seen someone like us before. And that curiosity just honestly keeps me going, because that's how if I'm picturing me growing up in my small town back in New York, and if a Chinese family or a family from Laos or Russia or something came in unannounced into my small part of town, I would be overjoyed. I would have so many questions to ask them. And the bonus here is that most of the people assume that we don't speak Chinese when we come in here, and we can have an open dialogue, answer their questions. We'll gather groups of hundreds of people. And it is, you know, on the most shallow level, an ego boost, because you do feel kind of like a celebrity. But at the same time, you feel good, like you're changing people's minds, and you are, you know, a small town diplomat almost from your home country. And I just can't get enough of it. So when I find myself with a little bit of time on the side, the little bits of free time that I do get now with my new business, I find that I am out in these towns making friends with people out here, because they are some of the most wholesome, innocent human beings I've ever met in my life. And you can argue that, you know, okay, the future of China that's driving it economically is going to be in the big cities, the people going to the clubs and, you know, making the money and stuff. But it's going to be at least 20, 30 years before this kind of place doesn't exist anymore. I mean, these places they'll always be here. Look at this kid, he's just helping on the farm in between class. He's on his lunch break helping on the farm. Beautiful scenery like this. We got this oxen. And yeah, I mean, there's just a vibrant lifestyle out here that you cannot get inside of a Chinese big city. I'll say it a million times over and over again. If you find yourself in China, whether you're working, traveling, or living, make sure you come out to places like this, because these are the places that you're going to remember. Everyone can be impressed by tall buildings. Everyone can be impressed by economic growth. But at the end of the day, when you meet people like I've met out here, you'll remember China in a completely different light. So that's all I want to say about that. It's not racist to take photos with countryside people, because I think in the West we get pretty much too many photos and too much information about expanding China, and just not enough about what maybe actually drives it, where the food comes from, you know, where the traditional culture lies in people's minds. It's out here, man. It's out here. Oh, there's Ben behind me there. Oh, there he goes. Flying by on our new project bike. What a fantastic little thing it is.